You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday, happy Saturn Day, and welcome to a special weekend edition of Transits Today. What's happening this weekend warranted its own video because there are a lot of really power-packed transits that we're experiencing, and they're all sort of working together leading up to Tuesday's lunar eclipse in Taurus. So it's a great time to tap into the energy, get a check on the energy. And I always say this, but knowing what's happening with the transits allows you to work with them so they don't work you. And this weekend is definitely one of those weekends. Hi, Corby. Happy Saturday. Hey, Rachel. Happy to see you all here. Hope your weekend is going well so far. And before we dive into the transits, I want to start on a light note. We'll just ease our way in today with birthdays, of course. So today, Kris Jenner, very famous Scorpio, is celebrating her birthday. Odell Beckham Jr., Tilda Swinton. Okay, it just makes sense that they're both Scorpios. You know, what's going on with them? Like, I feel like there's something hidden. There's a mystique about both of these women. Let's see, Bryan Adams, Luke Hemsworth, the hidden Hemsworth, if you will, Vivian Lee. Okay, and then, Kevin Jonas too. It's interesting. It's like these Scorpio people that tend to be more, they're not main character energy all the time, but that doesn't mean they're not powerful and don't add a lot of value, right? Tomorrow's Scorpios include Emma Stone. We love her. Ethan Hawke as well. Sally Field is a Scorpio. If you've never seen the movie Sybil, it's an older movie, but she plays someone with multiple personality disorder, and wow. If you want to know if a Scorpio can act, watch that movie with Sally Field. I'm not even going to attempt to say this woman's name, but I know her. I recognize her. I'm not going to butcher it. I'm not going to do it. Maria Shriver, Lamar Odom is a Scorpio. Okay, all right. We see you. Okay. Oh, and Crossroads. Anybody know the movie Crossroads? Taryn Manning. She was in that movie. You know, like 8-year-old me was obsessed with Crossroads. Yes, I was. Conchita Wurst. All right. If you're a Scorpio, if you know someone celebrating a birthday this weekend, give them a little extra love because they might need it with the transits we are experiencing. Hi, Katie. All right. How's everybody feeling? Rachel says, so you were right. This fire energy has me feeling like an Energizer bunny. Can't focus on one thing, getting all of the chores done. My Mars in Gemini is on a high today. Friends, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and could not go back to sleep. And that is not like me. So I'm feeling that too. Definitely feeling that Aries moon. Hi, how's it going? Had an emotional morning, was able to work through it, and I'm feeling a bit more grounded. Looking forward to getting out and celebrating with friends this evening. Wonderful, Corby. Heavy realizations today, says Katie. Yeah, that is kind of the theme of this weekend. Heavy realizations. It's a great way to put it. So without further ado, let's get a check on the current energy and just dive right into the transits. We're mostly going to be talking about major planetary connections. We will get into the moon a little bit more for our Sunday forecast. And by the way, if you're finding this video later, I'll go ahead and add markers to the timeline so you can jump to whichever of the transits you're most curious about, because there are quite a few that we have to go over. But the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Aries. This adds a base level of intensity anyway. Scorpio is easily the most intense sign of the zodiac, and Aries is very in your face, very aggressive energy. So just that alone might be a little much for some people. And then you'll see why it gets more intense. Yeah, also didn't sleep well, Katie says. One of your smoke detectors went off at 6 a.m. for no reason. Okay, Aries moon, being loud, acting up. Well, I'm glad it's been a good day for you so far. Okay, so we have a couple South Node transits to talk about, and we have a couple Venus transits to talk about. And like I mentioned, all of the transits that we're experiencing this weekend are really playing into the overall energy that will be present during the lunar eclipse in Taurus. So, of course, all eclipses play out on the North and South Node, these axes, and we've been really talking a lot about the nodes and this axis for the past 2 weeks since the Scorpio solar eclipse. So the South Node is currently in Scorpio, the North Node is currently in Taurus, and that's why we have eclipses on this axis. With the South Node being in Scorpio, we have a lot of planets also in Scorpio very close to the South Node. So if you take a look at the current chart, you can see here the South Node over here. It looks like a little eye, like a hook and eye. It's the upside down one there. And we have Mercury 2 degrees away. We have the sun directly on the South Node right now, and Venus, as we talked about a few days ago, already crossed over the South Node. But essentially, all 4 of these placements are within a conjunction of each other right now. So we've been talking about, one planet crossing over the South Node, the next planet crossing over the South Node, but I think it's important to take a look at the bigger picture and how much is just sitting on the South Node right now, essentially. The South Node represents past lives, our comfort zone, past versions of ourselves. So in a very general sense, the past could come up this weekend, especially with the Scorpio sun, this intense season that we're in on the South Node. It's bringing a lot of awareness or shining light on our shadows, on our past, on the things that we are meant to release in this lifetime. So awareness can help us release, right? But the process of becoming aware of our shadows usually isn't the most comfortable process, if you know what I mean. So this exactly happened. The sun passing over the South Node at about 8:20 this morning. And you might already be feeling that, or maybe even yesterday, starting to feel that energy of falling back into past patterning or becoming aware of things that have been lying dormant or just waiting around in your subconscious beneath the surface. Scorpio energy is all about that subterranean mystery, what lies beneath. So this awareness of the South Node and of our past, collectively and personally, awareness is everything. When we're aware of it, we know what we can release. When we're unaware, we just go around subconsciously or unconsciously playing out, all of these patterns. But this brings in awareness, and with awareness, there comes responsibility and there comes power. So we have to acknowledge the boundaries of our comfort zone, represented by the South Node, in order to step out of it. In order to grow, in order to evolve, in order to transform, we have to know what we're leaving behind. It's alchemy. Something has to be released in order to grow and evolve. That's how we started the day, okay? Let's talk about the next transit. We're just going to keep trucking through these. We're just getting started. Feeling that past selves so much. It's very confusing what is now and what isn't. But I'm doing lots of writing to get clarity. Beautiful. Yeah. And you might feel like a past version of yourself at certain points today, because as we'll discuss for Sunday's forecast, Mercury is also crossing over the South Node tomorrow. Now, when we talk about South Node transits, we also have to acknowledge that the sun is opposing the north node, and Mercury will be opposing the north node. Venus still loosely opposing the north node. So an opposition brings magnetism, right? It brings attraction, and we are able to clearly align with and see our destiny, see the directions, see the lessons we're meant to learn. But it's really easy to get caught up in, like Katie said, what was. In order to get to where we're supposed to go, we got to leave behind the past. So definitely feeling it. Decided not to numb it today and fully address it head on. Good for you. Good for you. I think the transits this weekend, even if you were trying to like numb it and avoid it, you're still going to have to deal with something, and I'll explain why. So we've been talking about this next transit for the last week or so. Neptune trine Lilith. This is playing out for about 2 weeks, even longer when you take into account, the degrees of things, but in an exact trine within a degree of that 22-degree angle, or you know what I'm saying. We're feeling this. We're feeling this for a couple weeks. And I also want to acknowledge that the energy is very watery and emotional. Right now, we don't have much going on in air signs. If you look at the chart, we literally have, one air placement with Mars retrograde. And so communication could feel a little bit jumbled. Air energy is very communicative. It's more interactive and information-based. So that might feel a little jumbled too, just as an aside. But you can see Lilith, the black moon, over here at 22 degrees, harmonizing with Neptune. This is exact today. So just add another layer onto the intensity of everything we'll be talking about. Now, it is a positive angle, this trine, this 120-degree angle. So we love some positivity in the forecast. We will take it. Neptune trine Lilith. And again, we've been feeling this for a while now. It's time to address it fully now that it's exact. Our intuition is certainly heightened with Neptune and Lilith in water signs. Neptune being very intuitive, being that creative, imaginative energy, and Lilith representing our wild, untamed power and almost this rebellious energy of not wanting to be controlled. So a beautiful way to use this is through creativity. It feels like being creative can help us transform in a lot of ways and lean into this alchemical energy that we're really feeling in the midst of these two eclipses. This transit also brings a natural ability to have compassion for ourselves and others if we're willing to fully claim our power and fully claim our responsibility. Lilith often gets a bad rap as our inner bitch, and she can be. She definitely is. She's that part of ourself that will not be controlled, that will not back down. But I think when we really look at the power of Lilith, because it's a very powerful placement, and take responsibility for that power, that's a theme that keeps coming up, taking responsibility for our own power, we can be the creator. We can be that compassionate force with Neptune on the other side of this trine and use our empathy, use our imagination to be a force of love rather than a force of control. And those are kind of two sides of the same coin during Scorpio season, right? Control is really easy to fall into during Scorpio season. But in general, our intuition is very much heightened, and Neptune allows us to get a little lost in our own depths. That's where the creativity can come into play. I think I said this yesterday too, but creativity is a really powerful outlet just in general right now to process emotions, to allow things to come up, to even meet deeper parts of ourselves through our own creative expression. Ooh, I did a cord cutting ritual a couple days ago and that really helped. Yeah, this is a powerful time for cord cutting. Great idea. For anyone feeling the intensity, yeah. Especially between these eclipses, all about releasing, surrendering. Cord cutting is perfect. And Corby did one today. Wow. Seems like these shifts and transitions are calling for it. They absolutely are. Definitely feeling jumbled. Kind of in the mindset right now to go with the flow, feel my emotions when they come up, and nourish that part of me. Just keep pushing forward. Absolutely. And I love, Rachel, that you are feeling more energized by the Aries moon today because, yes, we talk about feeling our emotions as they come up, witnessing them as they surface, but also take advantage of your creativity when it pops up. You know, take advantage of motivation and that hustle energy if you're feeling it. Emotions are up and down and come in waves for different reasons. So it's not just our feelings that we have to feel in waves. We can feel bursts of creativity and productivity in waves too. Okay, transit number 2, Neptune trine Lilith. Moving on to the most intense transit of the day on Saturday, and that is Venus opposing Uranus. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Venus for a little bit this weekend and through the eclipse. I told you, Venus, this whole Scorpio season, Venus wants to be center stage. Venus is in Scorpio. She was conjunct the solar eclipse in Scorpio, and she will be opposite the lunar eclipse in Taurus. So Venus is really bringing the focus on our relationships over this whole Scorpio season, essentially, and really putting the emphasis on transformation within relationships as well. I think a lot of what we'll be talking about involves our relationships being our teachers. But let's talk about this transit right now. Okay, Venus opposing Uranus. Venus being the planet of love, money, and beauty. Uranus being the planet of disruption, rebellion, innovation, technology as well. So when Venus and Uranus lock into this 180-degree opposition, you can see it on the chart here. Venus at 16 degrees, Uranus at 17 degrees. So this is actually exact at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, but we're really going to be feeling this energy all weekend. And don't pay any attention to this cross because this placement will move. It's not a grand cross. It's not that intense, but it might feel like it. Okay, so what does this mean? What does this mean for us? Well, disruptions in relationships, that's pretty par for the course when Venus and Uranus are in a tense angle like this. Financial shifts are possible. It feels like there is going to be some sort of change, some sort of shift, some sort of disruption in these areas of your life. I would say this is also a really great point if you're here and you're wanting to know how is this specifically affecting you, to take a look at what houses Scorpio and Taurus rule in your chart, because that could give you a little bit more of a clue as to where these disruptions are going to come up and maybe help you be more prepared for them. But Uranus likes to catch us by surprise. So the changes or disruptions that come up today could be a surprise. But remember, not all disruptions are bad. Not all rebellions are bad. People you're in relationship with, not just romantically, but your children, your parents, business partners, could be kind of testing that rebellious energy too. So just be aware of that. But innovation comes from rebellion. You have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough. And that's really the mantra of Uranus. So if you're already experiencing tension in those current relationships, this transit could be the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces everything to fall so you can rebuild and really light a fire under that transformation process. But this could also lead to surprising encounters for relationships. So this could be potentially a positive transit if you are looking for love or looking for romance. You might run into somebody surprising. Now, I will say we don't want to force the disruption or force the excitement, if you will, by being the rebel. That can get you into some trouble. You might find yourself there anyway. That's just the current energy. But sometimes with Uranus transits, if we're a little bored and we're looking for excitement, we can be the one to poke the bear. So remember, Venus rules beauty, and a great example of what not to do during this transit and really through the eclipses in general is to get a haircut, get a tattoo, do a major permanent anything to your appearance or even to your home. I would not make any decisions based on aesthetics with Venus in this angle to Uranus because we're craving that disruption, if you will. which could just be a change, an update, but we're craving it so much and we're attracted to it so much that we might jump the gun and do something that we kind of regret. So I would not really, until after the full moon, after the lunar eclipse, do anything to your appearance. Same thing goes with investments or finances. I would not personally invest or make any huge financial decisions under this opposition between Venus and Uranus, because again, it feels like gambling energy. You know, we want to win big, so we're willing to take the risk. And Uranus likes us to take the risk. It likes us to rebel, to get out of our comfort zone. However, you know, we can go a little overboard with the opposition. So shy away from any spur of the moment changes to love, money, or beauty. Don't make any knee-jerk decisions about your relationships either. It's just a very tense, tricky time we're experiencing with this Venus-Uranus opposition. I will also say Venus likes pleasure, right? And we are seeking pleasure from these disruptions. So again, this could be love, money, beauty, but you know, you might find yourself spending a little frivolously because you're just looking for a thrill. That's Venus opposing Uranus. Now, as I'm saying all of this, I am the proud holder of 3 Powerball tickets, okay, my friends? And I think someone is going to win big tonight because of this opposition between Venus and Uranus. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be me. I'm just saying. You heard it here first. We're manifesting it. It's happening. So yeah, and I think a lot of us have been experiencing a lot of relationship stuff coming up over the past few weeks since that solar eclipse conjunct Venus, and even before that. So the next couple days feel like a culmination and a pinnacle point of everything we've been experiencing when it comes to everything ruled by Venus. Feeling that transformation. It is so uncomfortable and triggering. I feel at peace with myself, but the surface is chaotic and tense, if that makes sense. Absolutely. That feels a lot like Scorpio energy too. You know, Scorpio feels like the deep ocean. The surface level is pretty choppy and pretty rocky a lot of the time, big waves, but down deep, things are calm and a little bit quieter and a little bit more mysterious and hidden. So it makes sense, everything you're describing. Yeah, so with Scorpio being in your 2nd and 3rd house, same here, Rachel. Finances, money, even past beliefs around money, limiting beliefs around money could be coming up with the South Node in that area of your chart. With the North Node in your 8th house, there's a lot of growth, but a lot of deep work you have to do to get to the growth. So I'm right there with you, feeling that energy as well. It's not easy. It's not an easy time for any of us in the middle of eclipse season. I donated money to my friend's live stream. She's trying to raise money for a children's hospital, hoping that was a good way to use this energy to promote kindness and abundance for other. Yeah, if you're feeling like I got to spend some money and feel good, donate to a charity. We will never regret donating to a charity, right? Instead of going out on a shopping spree and buying a bunch of crap you probably don't need, or going on an online shopping frenzy under the Venus-Uranus opposition, putting your money somewhere where it will be used for good, where there's positive energy behind it, is a great way to manifest, even though we don't recommend manifesting right now. Just to do something good with your money. Nikki says, I did get my hair done. I kept things the same hairdresser, gone to the same style, just did a trim and touch up, no drastic changes. Well, then you're good. You're good. But I know there will be some people out there who are like, I'm just going to cut all my hair off or dye it a crazy color or, buzz my head or go get a tattoo this weekend just because I want to feel something and I want to feel the excitement. And if it's something you've been wanting for a long time, if it feels like a safe bet, this isn't to say that it's a bad idea. However, I personally would not. Okay, Nick, we're in it together. We're in it together. Hopefully we both win, or one of us at least. Boundaries have been the name of the game in my world of relationships. It's been hard having to witness the times where I wasn't honoring or protecting myself. Corby, you are speaking for me right now. You are speaking through me right now. I feel this so much. And the transit that we'll be feeling the most Sunday into Monday is really going to make boundaries incredibly important and solidify those boundaries, I think, for a lot of us, because Venus is squaring Saturn, the planet of boundaries. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into that in just a few minutes, but having boundaries with yourself could be very important today with Venus opposing Uranus, and with other people too, because as I mentioned, could be some people who are just craving a thrill, trying to poke the bear. And remember, we are all mirrors for each other, right? So if somebody's poking at you and trying to disrupt you or rebelling against you in any way, even if it's your kids, they're trying to get you to do the same thing, to be a mirror for them. And sometimes the best way of being a mirror, and a great way, speaking of boundaries, to not take on other people's energy is to remain in your own energy. And we've said this before, but it's like, I am rubber, you are glue, and to let them work through whatever they're working through without putting it on you. Easier said than done, much easier said than done. And I feel you, Corby. I feel you. That could be a good visual of just with upholding your energetic boundaries if other people are trying to disrupt your peace right now. Ooh, Scorpio is in your first house, Taurus in your seventh. So relationship boundaries, huge for you, especially. Everything you're saying is so aligned with your chart. But as you were saying, also past versions of yourself coming up with the South Node in your first house totally makes sense. Wow, my husband has revealed deep emotional connections to other women outside of our marriage. Christina, this is such a vulnerable share, and I am so grateful you feel safe enough to share that with all of us, and just hope you know that we're sending you love, and hope that you can navigate this, and that this astrology forecast helps in some way give you some insight on how to move forward, because that is not an easy position to be in. But you're not alone. Relationship issues are coming up for a lot of us right now, and if you need something to blame other than your husband, blame Venus and Scorpio. Secrets, Scorpio energy is very secretive, secrets being revealed with the sun crossing over the South Node, with Mercury crossing over the South Node tomorrow. Secrets coming up definitely could be something a lot of us are experiencing right now too. Yeah. Sending love and strength. Yeah. No Botox or fillers, no plastic surgery this weekend, or really through the eclipse. I would recommend that too, Nikki. Thank you all for sending love to Christina. That is really hard. But again, I am really grateful that you all feel safe enough to share those things here and to kind of express them in a safe, loving place. Life isn't easy, and this is one of those weekends that a lot of us might be feeling that. I generally don't like to say things like, this is hard, or, of course I want to acknowledge when things are difficult, but I'm also a big believer in speaking your existence. So I try to find ways we can work with difficult transits, but it's okay if things just feel difficult and feel hard this weekend. Not a good time for love or beauty. Keep it simple. Yeah, Nikki. Okay. So those are the main transits we're feeling this Saturday. The moon is in Aries. It's a waxing gibbous moon. And the energy is definitely building. We're feeling a lot of energy that could add to this restlessness, this disruptive energy, just having a lot of pent up stuff inside of us that needs to come out. Move your body, move your body, move your body. When in doubt, move your body, release some of that energy, release some of that tension physically. We are humans. We're spirits in a human body. We're having a very physical experience, and one of the quickest, best ways to regulate our emotions is to regulate our nervous system and regulate our body. So I cannot recommend enough that if you're feeling anxious, doubtful, angry, all the things, sweat it out. Move your meat suit, as our friend Court loves to say. Now, the one connection the moon is making today, the only connection the moon is making today, is a conjunction to Chiron. I told you to buckle up, my friends. I told you this was not going to be an easy forecast. You can see here the moon and Chiron pretty much conjunct as we speak right now. And Chiron, being the wounded healer, is going to bring up triggers, bring up past wounds with all this south node activation. Anger could come up with this conjunction happening in Aries. And if you're feeling irritated, if you're feeling aggravated, how do we work with this? Ask what that irritation is signaling. Where's the deeper wound here? What part of me is asking to be healed by being angry or being irritated? Instead of fighting fire with fire, again, use the Aries moon to your advantage, move your body, let any upset burn off of you, or at least try to release some of that tension, because the temptation is going to be to project it onto other people with Venus opposing Uranus. We are feeling rebellious and we're feeling tense. We might even be feeling triggered or wounded, and our relationships are going to be a huge mirror for that today. So Saturday is kind of a doozy. Saturday is kind of a doozy. Katie says, I find Aries energy challenging. Aries in my 3rd house, Scorpio in the 10th. Aries energy feels challenging to me too, because I have so much Libra in my chart personally, and I really like to keep the peace and for things to be harmonious and balanced. And remember, Aries opposes Libra in the chart. So Aries wants to tackle things head on, wants to go, do, not really think things through, just jump right into it. And with the moon in Aries, we're feeling that restlessness, we're feeling that impulsivity, and the conjunction to Chiron, if we get triggered at all, even in the slightest, that energy is going to come out where we feel like we need to do something about it. So that's where triggered reactions can get us into a little bit of trouble today. Fair warning. And that's our Saturday. I wish I could wrap it up with a nice bow, but the best thing I can say about it is just hang in there. Know you're not alone. Know that if you're experiencing difficult emotions today or really through the next few days, they won't last forever. This too shall pass. And we got you. We're all in this together. Rachel also finds Aries energy challenging. I think it's because I don't have a lot of fire energy in my chart. So it's hard to adapt. Just give yourself that grace. And also, water and fire, Scorpio and Aries don't have anything in common at all. So we're under this Aries moon, but the sun is in Scorpio, and it feels like kind of this awkward energy where, like we talked about, Scorpio energy is very deep and introspective and feels things very deeply. Aries energy is more surface level, if you will, more headstrong. So we're kind of playing this balancing act between like, okay, should we dive deeper? Should we go in? Should we really get to the bottom of this? Or should we just react in the moment and go for it and use the fire? Neither is right or wrong. As I'm saying that, I feel like it sounds like the Aries energy is bad, but it's not. That can be really useful, and Aries energy is really powerful in a lot of ways because it can give us that motivation to start things, to do things, but we don't want to start new fires this weekend. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Makes sense with my Chiron and Cancer too. That water intensity, yeah. And Aries is the fire. It's water, fire. They clash, right? Had some strange dreams, Nikki said. Laying low, keeping it simple. Yeah. And the Chiron activation, Rachel said she's feeling it. I've been dealing with a lot of past things coming up. My mom told me the other day she was dealing with debating putting me up for adoption. Well, she can't now. She's stuck with you now. You're an adult, but that is wild. I've been having a lot of stuff coming up with family too. So again, friends, you're not alone at all. A lot of the things you're describing, I am feeling too. It's been taking me a little longer to get here and to get to a state where I am good and able to hold this space for you. So just know that you are not alone. And Rachel, we can chat about mothers outside of the live stream because wow, yeah. Sending you lots of love. Okay, let's talk. Yeah, air hugs all around. Can we all just give each other a virtual hug this weekend? I think we need it. Okay, let's talk about Sunday. Here we go. Another day of intensity. So we're going to start with the North Node again because Mercury crosses, or excuse me, the South Node. Mercury crosses over the South Node tomorrow morning at about 10:30 Pacific time, so midday on the East Coast. Mercury crossing over the South Node brings more of a processing energy to the awareness that we have of our past selves and our past patterning today. So Mercury ruling our mental state, ruling our mindset, is really allowing us to mentally work through the awareness gained. It might feel like also, because Mercury is the planet of communication, that we are communicating as a past version of ourselves, or our communication tactics are kind of rooted in the past rather than being in the present moment or leaning into the version of ourselves we truly want to become. So know that you might be thinking a lot about the past tomorrow or this weekend in general. And also, conversations about the past could be coming up. Now, how do we work with this energy? There's a shadow and light to every transit. As I always say, how can we use all of these South Node conjunctions to our benefit? Well, just giving ourselves grace, but Mercury is also opposing the North Node, so we can clearly understand where we're supposed to be going. And conversations or thoughts about the past can give us more clarity, actually, about where we want to go in the future, what we want to leave in the past, and on the opposite end of things, what we want to create in the future. So if you're thinking a lot about the past this weekend, you're not going crazy. We're dealing a lot with the South Node. You might even be thinking about past relationships or past money issues, because remember, Venus is very close by with all of these conjunctions. But yeah, it's feeling, I said this on, I think, Friday too, it's feeling kind of retrograde-y because of all of this South Node energy. There's a lot of past shit coming up right now. It's like, why? Didn't we close the door on this? Weren't we done with this? Haven't we moved on? But anything that's not resolved, even if you thought it was resolved, anything that's not resolved in relationships with other people or in money, or with this eclipse season on the Taurus Scorpio axis too, like old debts that you thought you'd paid off could come back up. Not fun stuff dealing with the South Node, but it's necessary. It's necessary for us to fully understand our past in order to embrace our future and who we want to become. And that is the theme of all of these conjunctions with the South Node this weekend. Oh, Nick's giving air hugs too. Love it. It was really bad with my parents when I was born, but it makes sense because I'm realizing that I probably brought a lot of trauma from her in the womb, but it's helping me have more compassion for her. Yeah, again, Rachel, you and me, we need to chat about this because I feel you. I feel you on so many levels. But yeah, the constant shedding is so real, and something that has come up for me recently with family dynamics and a lot of similarity to the things you're sharing, and that really plays into the South Node as well, is I can forgive people for the past fairly easily. I think I've worked out that muscle, that forgiveness muscle, quite a bit in my life, and I can forgive past things and move on from the past. But it's difficult, and maybe some of you are experiencing this as well, when it feels like the past is constantly playing out in the present, when the present doesn't feel resolved because other people are still stuck in the past, or we are still stuck in the past in some ways. So yeah, the constant shedding is so real. It feels like this constant, like trying to let go, trying to let go, trying to let go. But especially when it comes to relationships and family stuff, the past is always kind of there, right? Like, we've known each other our whole lives. We've known each other for this extended period of time. And when people on the other end of relationships aren't fully healed, a lot of the times they're bringing the past into the present moment. And that can be really difficult, even if you feel like you've healed, or you're shedding, or you're moving on, or you're transforming, and the people on the other end of things are still stuck in that former version. It can create tension, it can create conflict, and it can be really hard to move forward when the other end of the relationship isn't necessarily moving forward too. Hopefully that makes sense, and I don't know if that helps at all, but bottom line is I feel everything you're saying. Yeah, it's hard not to be on edge with everything popping up, Corby says. I'm trying to relax and flow, but whew, yeah, I keep finding myself taking these like really deep breaths today, this weekend, even yesterday. Just like I feel like I'm trying to catch my breath because I can really feel this current tension. And even trying to slow down feels tense right now, probably because the moon is in Aries. It's like this agitation, like we got to do something. Also, can we just acknowledge that my hands are like characters of their own? Like they're just having a whole like puppet show and a whole play of their own all the time. Anyway, I feel the tension too. Yeah, and you can't force other people to let go and face their demons. Yeah, as much as the South Node activation is coming up for all of us, again, it's the awareness. It's the awareness of, oh, this is a past part of me that's popping up right now. Okay, what is it showing me? Do I want to keep this part of me around or do I want to move forward? But there are millions, billions really of other people in the world who aren't aware of the current energy or aren't even really aware of their own energy. So when we experience tension, like all of us are experiencing right now, and we don't know that there might be a reason for it or an energetic explanation for it, you know, it just, what do we do about it? You know, I'm just feeling icky. I'm just feeling tense. I just feel irritable, but there's no like, okay, well, let's do something with this. Let's work with this. So again, that's why I always love talking about the astrology transits. It really helps me work through a lot of the things I'm feeling a lot of the time. Yeah, realizing who toxic people are in my life that I can wean off. Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes we're stuck with toxic people in our life, right? Maybe we're not always stuck. Maybe that's limiting, but you know, I just want to send a lot of compassion to anybody experiencing family stuff right now because those energetic connections run deep. Okay. I'm avoiding the last transit of the weekend because it's the most tense one. It's like we've been working our way up to the top of the roller coaster and we're almost there and it's a little scary. Makes a lot of sense though. My partner is a little off today, so I've been giving him the space even though I'm feeling kind of needy today. That awareness, beautiful awareness. Forgiving the past part, letting that version know that part or all of those actions of protection are no longer needed going forward. It served its purpose. A great way to look at it. Yeah. All right. Venus squaring Saturn. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. We got to talk about it. Venus squaring Saturn. Now, this transit is exact at 11:30 p.m. on Sunday night. So we're feeling it really intensely the second part of Sunday, but Sunday into Monday, tension. Fears, doubts, limiting beliefs in love, money, and beauty, all coming up as Venus is squaring Saturn. Now, this isn't the first time we experienced this transit this year. Venus locked into a square with Saturn back in June as well. So it might be a good idea to reflect back, speaking of past versions of ourselves, on what lessons you learned back in June at the last Venus-Saturn square. Now, it feels like, because we've been talking so much about Venus, that any upsets that happened in relationships on Saturday could lead to lessons or boundaries being set on Sunday, with Saturn being the planet of karma, lessons, and boundaries. But Saturn also brings up those fears, insecurities, and doubts. And those fears could kind of blindside you with Venus making a square to Saturn, this tense 90-degree angle. So you might be questioning your relationships. You might be questioning your ability to manifest abundance or your money situation. You might even be questioning like your own beauty or the beauty of people around you, the beauty of your environment. This feels a lot like doubt. So, fair warning. I keep trying to find something good to say and it's not coming to me, but if you are questioning whether your relationship, whether your investments will stand the test of time, Saturn is the ruler of time, know that that is normal during a square between Venus and Saturn. You might also feel a little bit colder or more detached from people you're in relationship with, especially with Saturn in Aquarius, this very spacey, detached energy. Harsh truths could be expressed in these areas as well. Venus in Scorpio is really intense. It's very intimate. It wants to just, get to the bottom of it, say it like it is, right? And Mercury being in Scorpio too, conjunct the South Node. Watch your words, watch how you're relating to other people. If you need to take some space, if you need to take some alone time, if you need to set a boundary in your relationships, that is perfectly okay and probably even favored as Venus squares Saturn. So, it might feel like you're being a little bit selfish, but ultimately, if you're going to be a better partner, a better friend, a better parent by taking a little bit of space, that might be better than trying to continually engage in situations that just aren't really harmonious right now. So thinking of our own needs, filling up our own cup, making sure we are okay so we can come back to those relationships and communicate and relate in a more effective way when we're more clear-headed, level-headed, and when we're more rooted in what we really want and need. Venus squaring Saturn. Whew, it's a doozy of a weekend. It is a doozy of a weekend. I'm not going to argue with my mother. Let her have more space for a while at her house, staying home for now. Yeah, boundaries. And maybe you're creating a boundary and giving that person space too. It might not just be that you're feeling this tension, this Aries moon irritability. It might be that you sense they are too, and you make the mature, responsible decision to just take a little bit of space from each other. My husband and I had to kiss and make up from this morning. We're getting a lot of clarity in these transits, but the journey is rocky. Again, right there with you. Right there with you, Katie. Sending you lots of love. And your husband too. Lots of grace to you both. Relationships are our biggest teachers, and that is the mantra of Venus squaring Saturn. Saturn being the karmic teacher. Venus being the planet of relationships. These lessons could feel very harsh, even surprising. They might even blindside you over the weekend and through the eclipse with Venus squaring Saturn, because all of these transits that we're talking about today, all of them, if we jump ahead on the chart to Tuesday, we'll just go ahead 2 days or 3 days, I guess now. Let me see. Give me a moment. And you'll see. Okay, here's about the time of the eclipse. So let's take a look. The sun will be conjunct Mercury during the eclipse. Big realizations, right? But mostly shadows being revealed, it feels like, with this happening in Scorpio, opposing the moon, which is conjunct Uranus. So we're really feeling that Venus-Uranus opposition during this eclipse, and the square to Saturn being a T-square to both of these conjunctions happening on opposite ends of the chart. So all of the energy that we've talked about today, which is why I felt like it was really important to break these things down in their own episode, all of this is playing into the eclipse. We're feeling all of these things at the same time during the eclipse on Tuesday morning. Yeah, buckle up. Buckle up. It is nice in a way that we're kind of getting a preview this weekend, so it's not all happening at once. Like, a lot of these things are starting to come together and come up before the eclipse, so hopefully by Tuesday it's this kind of culmination point and realizations can come through and we can gain more clarity and have some aha breakthroughs. That's my hope. Crossing my fingers for that, but yes, Rachel, this is a really rough full moon. Not even just a full moon, just an eclipse. The emotions are heightened, What a ride. What a ride. Yeah. Just taking a deep breath. Crossing my fingers for that too. Yes, this clarity, getting updates of what's to come has been so helpful. I'm glad, Corby. Just want to say to everyone, says Rachel, I'm always sending you all positivity and love, and I know we can make it through this. You got this, and you are supported. We're all here to support each other, and we're all on this wild ride together. Oh, good. I'm glad that this has been helpful for you. It's been really helpful for me, too. So that's the last major transit we're feeling. I want to touch on what's happening with the moon on Sunday as well. The moon is making a couple different tense connections, but a couple different supportive connections as well. So the moon stays in Aries for most of the day on Sunday. At 1 a.m., tonight into tomorrow, so basically Saturday night, 1 a.m., the moon forms a sextile to Saturn. This can kind of help us come back to our senses, gain some practicality, hopefully help us out before Saturn screws things up again. But we can view our emotions through a more logical lens, especially with this impulsive, fiery Aries moon connecting with Saturn, which is bringing some maturity into the picture. I think this could kind of help us cool down a little bit. At 7 a.m. Sunday morning, the moon squares Lilith. Okay, so you might wake up a little cranky on Sunday. You might wake up a little bitchy on Sunday. Emotional shadows are being forced to the surface with the black moon squaring the Aries moon. We might be reactive. We know that's par for the course, but just adds another layer of caution. If you're feeling a little grumpy, if you're feeling a little bitchy on Sunday morning, take some space. Take some space. The Aries moon is going to make you want to tackle it head on. Take a beat. Slow down. Take some space before reacting. 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, the moon forms a sextile to Mars. This is a very fiery, very active energy on Sunday afternoon. It's like we're picking up steam. We're like barreling towards the eclipse, right? And this transit can help us tap into our motivation and our drive, but we have plenty of that right now with the moon in Aries. So this could be a point too where we're just feeling really antsy and really energetic. And again, moving our body is so favored this weekend. Like, move your body, please. If not for yourself, do it for me. Do it for humanity. Release some of that pent up energy. The moon forming a sextile to Mars could light that fire under you. Like, okay, we just got to move this out right now. We just got to get it out. And the last connection the Aries moon makes on Sunday is a square to Pluto. Yep, the moon is squaring Pluto on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Powerful emotions, again, could surface. This is leading up to the Venus-Saturn square, so power struggles are possible. It can really bring up some deep emotions in a fiery way with the moon squaring Pluto and Capricorn. Anything that still needs to be purged before the eclipse or even during the eclipse could come up when the moon squares Pluto. This is the last Pluto connection we see before the lunar eclipse. So power struggles, intensity, all possible as the moon squares Pluto. It's the most tense aspect we see in astrology, and Pluto is the most intense planet that we talk about, the most deep, shadowy, mysterious, little scary planet. So just be nice. Be nice to other people. Witness your own emotions. Really take accountability for how you're reacting to things. And when in doubt, slow down. It's not going to feel natural to do that under the Aries moon, but it will feel natural to slow down by about 3-4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. The moon goes void after that connection to Pluto until it moves into Taurus. So it's a nice energy of just diffusing any tension. The void moon is a great time to say you're sorry. This is from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. If you need to say you're sorry, doing it during a void moon is great because it's like this diffusion. So we can kind of approach maybe a disagreement or a conflict without it blowing back up and close off any open conversations, tie up any loose ends, just kind of take a beat, resolve things under the void moon before the moon moves into Taurus, where it will become full over the next couple of days. So the moon is exalted in Taurus. We like the moon in Taurus, even though we're talking about an eclipse, even though we're talking about a full moon. The moon is more comfortable in Taurus than it is in Aries, and comfort is the theme of the Taurus moon, right? It's all about getting back into our comfort zone. And our comfort zone is something we'll be talking a lot about during this eclipse because Taurus is our comfort zone, but the North Node is in Taurus, which represents our direction and getting out of our comfort zone. The South Node is in Scorpio, which is a very uncomfortable energy, but it feels like there's more comfort there right now, or it's easy to fall back into that energy right now. So there's this interesting juxtaposition between getting out of our comfort zone and finding comfort as well. My best advice during the Taurus moon is to find comfort in your own body, finding comfort in your own nervous system, finding comfort in yourself, even leaning into those creature comforts, nourishing your body, putting on the comfy clothes, letting it feel good on your skin, giving your body a break after all of this energy we've moved during the Aries moon. The Taurus moon feels like, after a long day when you just kind of like plop down on the couch. That is the Taurus moon energy at the end of this very intense weekend. So enjoy your creature comforts, full permission to slow down as the weekend ends. The future will be so bright, releasing all that doesn't serve us in relationships. Yes. I concur. The future will be bright. Why, Pluto? Why? Always, and they tried to demote Pluto. They tried to take away his planet, demarcation or whatever, but we know Pluto still brings the intensity, don't we? Yeah, definitely looking forward to the void moon. And yeah, hang on, everyone. This is the roller coaster ride of eclipse season, and it's not just the eclipses we're dealing with. It's all the other transits playing into them that's adding even more intensity. So this is a great point to come back to today's affirmation. I do not fear change. I welcome evolution. I do not fear change. I welcome evolution. And something else that's really beautiful to note is that on Monday, we don't have any major planetary connections. We will definitely still be feeling that square between Venus and Saturn on Monday, but I guess if you're on the East Coast, it is technically playing out on Monday for you, but the moon goes very quiet on Monday, the Taurus moon. It's like this calm before the eclipse, and the only connection the Taurus moon makes on Monday is a conjunction to the North Node. So this quietness, this rest, this lull that we feel, this comfort that we feel during the Taurus moon, when we're comfortable in our body, when we reach this state of release, of breathing out, of letting ourselves relax a little bit, we can more clearly see the path ahead. We can more clearly see the lessons that we're meant to learn. So just know that Monday, there's this slower energy, and leading up to the eclipse, we could be gaining a little bit more clarity with this conjunction to the North Node. Once we make it through all of the transits we talked about in this episode, we do have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a pause, just for a day before the eclipse, before we get right back into super intense energy again. Rest on Monday. On Moon Day, that's what Monday is for. Anyway, Moon Day is for rest. Clean your house, clear things out, get things ready for that eclipse energy, because we know the eclipses bring the changes too, bring the disruptions as well, but taking that Monday to make your comfort zone comfortable. It's kind of like preparing your own little pod to go through the eclipse in, just make sure you've got your creature comforts around you and that you're ready to go and that you're prepared. It will be a nice rainy day here in California on Monday. A slow day, not much to do. Looking forward to it. Even today here in Sacramento, it's a little gloomy. It's a little cloudy. Feels like it's kind of mimicking the energy of like, it's not quite raining, but not the happiest vibe. I haven't seen the sun much today. Sounds like what we all will need. Some rest on Monday. Definitely. Definitely. So we don't fear change, we welcome the evolution, and we can handle the evolution. We were made to evolve. We were not meant to stay the same. Any disruptions that come up, any disagreements that come up, any power struggles that come up, anything that comes up this weekend is here to serve our evolution, even when it feels uncomfortable, especially when it feels uncomfortable. It's all a lesson. It's all part of the magic that the universe is putting on our path for a reason, even if we cannot understand that reason right now. And again, I'm right there with you. And in Scorpio season, it does feel like we're a little bit in the dark. Like we're just like, okay, we got to trust. We got to be willing to keep walking through the dark to see what's on the other end of it, to get through to Sagittarius season when it's all bright and shiny and optimistic and growth and expansion and all these fun things. But Scorpio season feels like it's testing our fear of the dark a little bit, especially this weekend. So with that, let's go ahead and do a tarot pull for the weekend. I'm going to pull from the Cosmic Dancer Oracle. I really feel like tapping into the body, grounding into the body can be really helpful with all of this tension. And this transit is, or not transit, this deck is very much tied to the body. Ooh, there was a windstorm yesterday here. Something else I'm kind of curious about and watching is because this eclipse is happening in Taurus, which rules the physical environment, I'm wondering if there are going to be any wild weather things happening leading up to the eclipse or during the eclipse. That's something to keep an eye on too. Feeling that darkness and unknown. Yeah. When I read that, the visual I just got was of all of us when we were in our mother's wombs. We had no idea where we were. We didn't know what was going on. I don't think. I mean, I don't remember being in there. But, you know, we could just sense energy at that point. We could just sense the chemicals that our mother's body was feeding us. So just remember, we all come out of the darkness and it's not comfortable. We talked about this example, I think yesterday, like the process of birth is painful and uncomfortable coming out of the darkness, but it's necessary for our evolution. It's necessary for us to live, for us to fully experience life here on Earth. So let's see, this card wants to come out. I'm doing it. Card number 11. Love that. And it is Find Your Motivation. Very on point for the Aries moon. It actually has an archer on it. And as we were just talking about getting through the darkness and into Sagittarius season, the season of the archer, it feels like this is a shining light. Like, find your motivation. Find that thing that's going to carry you through the darkness. Here's what the card says. The universe responds to your intentions, whether or not you know what they are. The more conscious, direct, and focused you are, the more you can successfully co-create with the universe to manifest the outcome you'd like to experience. Ask yourself, what is motivating you in this situation? What do you ultimately want to build, offer, learn, receive, or achieve, and why? If your intention is born out of love and a desire to bring more unity, harmony, and connection into your heart and the world, you will instantly experience more success by bringing this intention to your conscious awareness and phrasing it clearly and succinctly. Any intention that is less than pure, such as a desire to impress, gain attention, assert your superiority, assuage your feelings of inferiority, or fulfill some sort of societal norm or expectation, will benefit immensely when you realign it with the highest vibration and ultimate truth of who you are, which is simply love. This is the essence of alchemy, which is often defined as the Renaissance era art and science of transmuting base metals into gold. Spiritually, though, this is a metaphor for transforming worldly desires and mundane energies into transcendent beauty and divine magic. For example, if you dance to feel special or show your superiority, no matter how technically perfect your moves, the performance will lack inspiration or awe. So true. However, if you redirect that intention to embody divine light, your performance will blossom and be remembered. Furthermore, within the collective consciousness, the positive and transformational effects of your performance will reverberate for months, years, and even decades to come. Once you state your intention, doors will fly open. Your next steps will become clear and you will feel powerfully guided to take confident steps that propel you in the direction of your goal. Now, these cards come with a little like guided movement, and normally I don't read them, but because the moon is in Aries and I've been telling you to move, I'm going to read it. To embody this energy through movement, start by stating your intention. Stand in a long lunge like a warrior pose with your front knee bent, back knee straight. Point your front toe forward and position your back foot at a right angle to your front toe. Literally just, warrior pose in yoga. You can look it up. Touch your middle finger and ring finger to your thumb tips on each hand. Extend your front arm straight in front of you and gaze over your index finger. Pull your back arm behind you, elbow bent as if you're pulling an arrow backwards. So essentially, do exactly what's on the card. Pretend you're pulling a bow and arrow. Bring your intention to mind and come into single-minded focus. When your intention feels very clear and strong, open your fingers rapidly as if you are releasing the arrow. Bring your ring and middle fingers back to your thumb tips and repeat as desired. Your clear intention is like the tiny seed that contains the entire plan and potential for the fragrant, blossoming rose bush. Plant that seed and care for it lovingly, and the universe will be the rain, sunlight, and fresh air that nurture and sustain it. Wow. This was the perfect card. It always is. But even just, it might seem silly, but doing that motion and thinking of your intention as the arrow, releasing it, imagining it, going out into your future. You can even like play into the north and south node with this exercise as the energy pulling you back being the south node. And once you release that, it can propel you into the future, into the direction ahead, into your north node. So beautiful. And find your motivation. It talked about coming back to your motivation and your intention. And something that I have started doing is asking myself or asking other people in the midst of conflict, what is my motivation right now? What am I getting at? What's the point? What's my motivation? What am I trying to do here? A lot of times when we're in conflict, when we're feeling tension, we're just like, oh, I just want to be heard, or I just want to feel like somebody gets how I'm feeling, But what's your deeper motivation? What's your actual goal in the conversation? That can be really helpful. And that's been helpful for me, at least, and something that I've tried to bring into conversations in my relationships in life. So that could be something you ask yourself in the midst of any conflict you might experience this weekend, or ask the person on the other end of the relationship, hey, what's your motivation right now? I mean, say it nicely. Don't be like, what's the point? Because I have a Scorpio moon and I can definitely go there. But, really taking a beat, taking a step back and being like, we're a team here. Like, what is the goal? How can we reach the end goal together? This feels like the energy is calling us toward the beauty that will be Sagittarius season. Exactly. The Archer. What are you sending ahead for yourself? What little seed are you planting for yourself to come, and it can start to grow and blossom, hopefully, during Sagittarius season. Yes. Perfect. When you're ready. Or a dance party too. Dance party, doing the arrow motion, either way, releasing some energy. Yeah, and having your kids involved. That's a great way to burn off that Aries energy, burn off any tension we're feeling just because of the transits. And yes, Brie, I saw this on the news this morning. There was a meteorite spotted last night. I think it was somewhere up north of Sacramento. But yeah, it was a huge one, and a bunch of people's Ring doorbells caught it on camera. Dash cams caught it. And it was a big one. There is the Taurid meteor shower happening right now. So you might, if you live somewhere without a lot of light pollution and you look up in the middle of the night, I think it's really the early morning hours, really right around midnight, 1 a.m. that you can see it best. Don't quote me on that. Do your own research. But in certain parts of the world, we are able to see meteors, aka shooting stars. I just saw one about 2 weeks ago, actually, randomly. So ask for a sign. It's a great way to get a little guidance during the chaos that is this weekend too. Just asking your guides for support, asking for signs, pulling a card on your own, knowing that you are supported, not just by us here in this community, but by your spiritual team and your spiritual guides too. Yes, double meaning for you. Releasing with the progressed moon in Scorpio, heading into your progressed moon in Sagittarius. I know you've been feeling that energy and tapped into it. So I love that this card came up for you too, Katie. Find your motivation. What is your intention? What is your goal? And coming back to that when you're feeling uncomfortable. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this weekend episode of Transits Today. I have decided, because Monday is such a low-key day astrologically, that we're going to do the eclipse episode on Monday. Because the eclipse happens at 3 a.m. So I'd like us to be prepared for it, especially coming off of this weekend. I think it'll be helpful. So we're going to be talking about the eclipse on Monday. Very excited for that, and how to navigate it according to your sign, how it's playing out in your chart. We'll be diving into all of that. Until then, though, I wish you all the easiest possible time navigating this energy. I wish you all so much grace, compassion, and empathy, first and foremost for yourself, but also for the people in your life who are having difficulty with the energy as well. We could all use some more air hugs this weekend, and some real hugs too. Don't be afraid. Under the Aries moon, a really beautiful aspect that we can work with under the Aries moon is putting ourselves out there and being a little headstrong and coming back to your intention, coming back to your motivation. If your intention is love, don't be afraid to be the first person to just give a hug, express love, send love, even in tense moments. Sometimes that can clear the tension. Sending you all love and support. Perfect. Sounds like Monday will be great for everybody. So I will see you all then. You know where to find me if you need me, and you know where to find this episode if you need to return to it for a little extra guidance. Sending you all so much love, and I will see you right back here on Monday morning. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.